Hi, I'm Bethany Warren, and you are joining me to listen to the podcast of our Millwall fan show with the No One Likes Us talking team and hosted by Eamon Barclay, which is available every Friday at 8 p.m.
It's Friday. I'm your host, Eamon Barclay, and I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Patricia Maslin, Ted, the computer Robinson, and George, the lampoon Lampy.
Bloody hell, did you get computer from?
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Pat, I understand your cats are meowing in the background.
Oh, sorry, it's just walked in.
And that you have been run ragged getting your sponsorship packages together. But are you ready for the show?
Absolutely.
Right.
It's gone really well, the sponsorship this year.
Excellent. So mute yourself now, kick the cat out, and we'll talk to you again in a minute.
She's like a cat lady, Rob.
She could be. Ted, hectic last week with the liaisons with Stanley to determine the power failure with the laptop in Stan's possession.
Exactly, yeah. He accused me of swapping over the power lead.
Yeah.
So we went and swapped it, only to find out that I hadn't swapped the power lead over.
Yeah.
So, Eamon, I think in actual fact it was your fault because you bought the wrong type. Is that right?
No, it wasn't me that bought the wrong type.
Oh.
It was the man that gave me the wrong one. But we've rectified that, and Stan's marked the power pack so that you don't get mixed up ever again.
Well, I can tell you we are now the talk of Sainsbury's at Thamesby because
there
we
you go.
every day. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's great that you meet him there. George, after the disaster of the bowling green being severely damaged, have you recovered from the anguish and enjoyed the revelation of how we got Troy Parrott on loan at the Den?
Yes, I have. Yes, it's been very exciting times. It's just me golf I got to improve on now. I played this morning and I was absolutely useless. But there you go.
Yeah, well, Miles Blumpson said, can you really ask George what his handicap is, because he refused to answer me the last time I was hosting the show.
And I'm still not going to answer now, actually. So there you go.
Poor old Miles. Anyhow, talking of Troy Parrott, tonight we welcome another Dubliner who, like Troy and many other Millwall players over the years, has developed his talent at Belvedere FC in Dublin. Leaving Dublin, our guest tonight initially joined Huddersfield Town, where he stayed from 1994 until he joined the Lions in 2000. From 1998 to 2000, he gained 12 caps for the Republic of Ireland at under 21 level. He was a very reliable back with us and saw us gain promotion from the third tier to the second in 2000-2001. His last game for us was against Manchester United in the 2004 FA Cup final. After being offered a one-year contract, he headed off to Bristol Rovers and then beyond. He finally hung up his boots at Croydon Athletic in 2008. Well, it's the one and only Robbie Ryan. Welcome, Robbie.
Hello, mate. How's it going? Okay?
Yeah.
Robbie.
Yeah.
Hello there. All right.
The whole gang are there.
You've done well there, Eamon. You didn't even mention Ronaldo. You just said
I'm not going to mention. You mentioned
it. Thank you, mate. Thank you.
He was trying to spare your blushes here, mate.
Who is he?
I'll put myself right in it, haven't I?
Yeah, there you go. You might get spiked a bit now. Robbie, like Home Farm, Stella Maris and Cherry Orchard, Belvedere is well known for its youth football system, which has successfully produced dozens of football players who have gone on to play for clubs throughout Ireland and the UK. Additionally, many have also gone on to represent the Republic of Ireland at various international levels. What is so special about these teams, and in particular Belvedere, the one that produced our new season-long loan signing, Troy Parrott, your Millwall teammate Richie Sadlier, and of course yourself?
Yeah, it's a great club. It's obviously it's in the heart of Dublin, and I think a lot of English people don't realise. Obviously, in Ireland, I think the under 14s and 15s, most of the teams in Dublin, I think there's around 12 teams that play in the league, and there's some lovely players. Obviously, in Belvedere, Cherry Orchard, as you said, Home Farm, but even in the lower teams, like I come from St. Joseph's, it's got some great players. I think because obviously in England you got like Premier professional clubs, they think that the Irish players aren't that good. But I think you can, as you said, you can nick a lot of good players in under 14s and 15s, and obviously come 16s, then things start to change, because then obviously in England they train every day and become professional now. YTS, whereas in Ireland they obviously just go off and do what they got to do. But there's loads of good players in Ireland, as I said. But Belvedere, it's got a great name, and I had a great time there. And my manager was Noel O'Reilly, who was actually the assistant manager for the Irish first team. So it just goes to show, obviously, God rest his soul, he died a few years ago, but it just goes to show that the coaches that they have as well can go on to bigger things from Belvedere.
Yeah.
But it's, as I said, it's bang in the city centre. So I think they get players from probably all over Dublin, and the best players at that, because obviously they're one of the best clubs in Dublin, and they've just got, it's just a lovely club, and the whole club, like anywhere, is all friendly, and everybody knows everybody. And I think in Dublin, as going back, obviously when I played, everybody just played football as kids, and I think they just nicked the best sort of players, and it's a great club, to be fair. So now they've just signed, I've seen that Troy Parrott for it's a year loan, is that correct?
That's right.
Yeah, and I suppose he's a lovely player, to be honest.
The guys think he's got a lot going for him. But, I mean, it's quite incredible. I looked at the list of players that have been at Millwall that have come from Belvedere. I mean, David Ford was at Belvedere, and he's a Galway man, isn't he?
That's true, from Galway, yeah. It said they nick a couple of players from the country. I don't know how they used to travel, to be fair, but they used to do it. Obviously, said they had obviously Mark Kennedy as well.
Yeah.
So there's loads of players. Curtis Fleming, obviously they didn't play at Millwall, but they get loads of players from Belvedere. As I said, it's that you get 2 or 3 players. I think when I played, I can't remember, 1 or 2 of the players used to travel from the country as well, because as I said, it's such a big club, and such a good club as well, that the minute, as I said, I used to play probably 12 miles away at a club called St. Joseph's, but Belvedere come knocking, and obviously the minute the likes of Belvedere, a home farm, come knocking, you've got to go, because that's where the best players are, and that's probably where more of the scouts go watch them, as opposed to go watch the smaller clubs, because they know that they're the better teams. So it's a great club, as I said. It's good now that they're still sending players over to England, to be honest.
Thanks for the background. That's great. Great.
Hi Robbie, it's Pat here. Rowett has indicated before the end of the last season that we were 15 goals short. Signing Parrott seems a good move. Do you think he would be a big piece in the jigsaw to mount promotion challenge?
Yeah, I think so. You obviously need goal scorers. If I'm being honest, I haven't seen much of him. I don't actually watch much football anymore. But I have spoke to my father. Still watches Ireland, and he loves the Irish under 21s. Because obviously the way Ireland have played football throughout the years is long ball and just high tempo, etc. But the Irish manager now, I can't remember his name, he's taken over from Mick McCarthy. He was doing the 21s, and all he does, he just wants to play football. So my father was watching the 21s for the last 10 games, and he said that Troy Parrott, he said when he broke into Spurs' team, he said he's a hell of a player. So hopefully my father's right, and he can get some goals. 'Cause, I mean, you know yourself, in the Championship, Millwall's always going to hopefully do okay, because they're at home, they're quite strong, and obviously the crowd, etc. People don't like coming to Millwall. So if they can get a goal scorer who can get 15, 20 goals a season, all of a sudden you're nicking wins at home and nicking draws away from home, you're there and thereabouts. So hopefully he can do the business.
It's George here, mate. Sorry. Sorry, Ted, I interrupted you there, mate. The thing that worries me about this, Robbie, is that, Parrott comes to us and he's going to be compared with, Harry Kane all day long, isn't he? And he might be a completely different type of player, or it's going to be a bit unfair on the boy, I think, don't you?
Yeah, I suppose he will be connected, as you said, that Harry Kane, obviously with Harry going out on loan and doing as well as he can do. But I suppose, listen, he's got to overcome that if he wants to be. So hopefully he can come in, mate. And I think the Millwall fans, as long as, I know from experience, as long as he gives 100%, mate, that they'd be as good as gold, and he'll get a bit of time. But as I said, from what I've heard, I have heard good things about him now. So hopefully he can just come in and straight away fit in. Because I do think that obviously the Millwall fans, they like people who work and give 100%. I think a lot of Irish footballers have that as a part of their DNA. That's as opposed to having the skills, etc. So hopefully, as I said, he go in there straight away, mate, and hopefully he fits in. He will have a bit of pressure, I suppose. People ask me about Harry Kane, but once he's out in the field, mate, you'll forget about that. If he can get a couple of goals in the first couple of games, mate, all of a sudden he'll be a legend down there, and he'll get a bit of confidence. And playing week in, week out, he can only build on there.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Robbie, you've obviously experienced this, and Troy Parrott being a young man, although he's been at Tottenham for a little while now, you was talking about earlier being in Belvedere, but obviously, did you yourself, did you always have that ambition to get over into English football? Was that where your sights were set? And then I'm always interested because obviously you're moving away from home, if you like, and whatever, going into what is effectively a different country. It must take a while for you to settle down.
Yes. Have you got all night?
Carry on. Stephen Kenny was the manager.
That's it, Stephen Kenny. That's it. Yeah, he's supposed to be a very good manager. He tries to play football the right way. So he's obviously, I think, trying to do well. But as you said, yeah, listen, from being a kid in Ireland, that's all anybody wanted to do was to be a footballer. And as I said, I was playing in a club called St. Joe's. And when Belvedere come knocking, you know that if you go to Belvedere, you're going to have the scouts there. So it's obviously then in your own hands to hopefully do the business and get some trials, etc. So I knew once I went to Belvedere, I knew then that it was down to me to try and get across. But that was obviously my ambition. I think it's all Ireland, everybody in Ireland from being a kid, all you done was just play football on the street. It's obviously a bit different now. People have got Xboxes and cars on the roads, etc. But when I was a kid, there was not many cars where I lived, and there was no computer, so we were just on the field 24/7. Do you know what I mean? So I always wanted to be a footballer. But moving over to England, I think I just turned 17, and I found it really, really hard for the first 3 or 4 months. I loved it because it was like a holiday, and then all of a sudden, it just hit home that this is my life now, and I've left my friends, my family back home, and I probably got
Huddersfield, mate. I can understand that.
Yeah, it was quite good for me because it was only a small little town, so I was probably suited. If I think of it, leaving at 17 and coming straight to living in London would have been a complete shock to the system. So it probably worked out well for me being in a small area. But listen, after a year or so, you get used to it. And you think, well, if you want to be a footballer, you've got to make some sacrifices, and these are the sacrifices that you got to make, to be fair. But it definitely is. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, if truth be told, to be honest. I still miss home. I mean, I love England, and I'd never go home, but I still miss home. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit crazy, really. Well, why do you still miss home if you know you're not going to move home? But you just always miss your friends and family, and that's just the way it is.
So when you moved from Huddersfield to London, and that the beautiful sight of the Den, being around that way, it must have enlightened you a little bit, Robbie.
It did, yes, it did. I don't know what to say to that. I lived in Lee Green with Mark Anderson. I think he's still connected with the club. I don't know if he's a scout. I lived with his family for a few months in Diggs when I moved down for the last 3 or 4 months of the season, because I joined in January, I think it was, and so I stayed there for 3 or 4 months. In Lee Green. So yeah, it was a bit of a shock culture, to be fair, coming from Huddersfield, and then sort of coming again. It probably took me another 6 to 9 months to settle in again, to be fair. But as I said, that's what you got to do to be a footballer. You have to move around, unfortunately, and obviously it's the best thing I've ever done, to be honest. And I ended up then living with Sad, and then I didn't get homesick anymore. Once I lived with Richie, I was all right.
I don't know which way to take that, Robbie. I've read the book, mate. But there
you go. Yeah. Robbie, turning to this season after you and your Millwall teammates returned to the second tier, can you remember what the expectations were for the pre-season?
What, when we got promoted to the Championship? Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. If I'll be honest, listen, I've got memory like a sieve. I can't remember, but I do remember, like, when we won the league, we knew we were the best team, and I'm pretty sure that we were going into that Championship, all players thinking that we're going to be thereabouts. And I can't remember. I presume that was Mark McGee's chap. We knew it was capable, and we knew in our eyes we were as good as them. So we thought ourselves, well, we were young. With me, we had some good players, obviously the likes of Tim and Chopper, Reedy, Sadler. We had some good young players, you know what I mean? And we were hungry when obviously Tony and the back four was solid enough, I suppose, you know what I mean? But we had players that could win us games. So which is a big thing in the Championship. If you've got players who can score goals, you're halfway there, to be fair. But I think, as far as I can remember now, we were quite confident going into the season, to be honest. And then especially after spanking Norwich, all of a sudden I think we might have got too excited and then got beaten 4-0 the following week. But no, it was as far as I can remember, mate, we knew we had a good side, because for 2 years we had sort of been boiling. I think Mark McGee sort of made the extra step after Keith Stevens. He was sort of different and give us another 10% that we needed. So yeah, I do think we were looking to be in the playoffs, which obviously we ended up in the end, and obviously just missed out, unfortunately.
As you said there, Robbie, a couple of half-decent youngsters in the team there. Tim Cahill. Could you ever foresee... I mean, I always thought Tim was an exceptional young midfielder, but if I'm perfectly honest, though, I don't think I could see him going on to be as successful as he was. You know, he's been an outstanding international player for Australia. He was an outstanding Premier League player with Everton, obviously, in that. But... I mean, he was an outstanding youngster, so I don't know why I thought that, but he done well for himself, Timmy, didn't he?
Yeah. Listen, amazing, and you're right. I mean, I've obviously played with Tim, and he just always gets you a goal. But sometimes you think to yourself, yeah, Tim, you were okay today, but he's just ended up getting 2 goals. Yeah, he's not bad. But I remember, and it's not no word of a lie, he actually done his cruciate, and Tim was, as you said, was always a great player. But he done his cruciate. I think he was only out for like 4 or 5 months, so he was quite quickly back. And I remember in training, he just shouldered me off the ball, and I thought, like, you must have got lucky there or something. I went to do it again, and he done it again. So he obviously went to the gym. He obviously got stronger, and all of a sudden he come back. And then during the games, he was actually dictating the games. Whereas I think when he was a bit younger or before he got injured, he had sort of just obviously was a good player, but he just get to the goals and do what he'd done. But all of a sudden after the injury, he just come back. He found more confidence in himself, and then he just started actually getting on the ball, actually dictating the pace of the game. And as I said, when he went to the Premier League, I mean, I couldn't believe how good he was for Everton. He was an unbelievable player. I think, oh my God, he really did. He just got better every year, didn't he? And after every game, he got better. And he had an unbelievable time at Everton, to be fair. And he was spraying the ball and all sorts, wasn't he? He was a great player. As I said, when he was at Millwall, you knew he was going to be a good player, but maybe not as good as what he'd done, to be fair, because he was outstanding for Everton and for Australia as well.
And his reaction when he scored in the semi-final, I mean...
Yeah.
I mean, he's such a fit boy, but running the length of the pitch like that, if that had been me, I wouldn't have moved for the rest of the half. I'd have been that knackered, but he knew how to celebrate, didn't he?
As he said, he ran down my side, and even I was like 50 yards away. But he run towards me, but I was obviously at left back. He still run past me, and I still couldn't catch him. He should have run 50 yards, and I still couldn't catch him.
I'm not saying this, but if I remember rightly on the cameras, Neil Harris was the first one to catch up. I mean, I wondered where you was, Rob.
I don't know where I was. I don't go halfway line. I was waiting for him to come to me, but then he just ran past me. I think, I can't catch you now, mate. You're too fast for me.
Robbie, speaking of Neil Harris there, did you notice back then that he was management material?
No, I don't think so. As you said, I don't remember a lot of things, but I don't really remember Chopper in the change room, like when we're having obviously team talks, or if Mark McGee was sort of having a go at us. I don't remember sort of Chopper coming up with ideas or sort of giving it back to McGee. So I think I was quite surprised when he got the job, to be fair. But as I said, he's done a fantastic job for Millwall, to be fair, for his 3 years that he was there, and he was obviously close to getting to the FA Cup final, etc., and got them promoted and that. So he had a great 3 years, and I think maybe it might have been the right time for him to leave. I think the fans still appreciate him and still love him, to be honest. But I think maybe if he stayed there for another 6 months, maybe it might have went pear-shaped. You never know. Who knows? But no, he's been a great manager, and obviously now he's gone to Cardiff, and he's done a great job down there. Obviously, just missing out on getting beaten by Fulham the other night, to be fair, even though he beat them at Fulham 2-1. So hopefully he can do well next year. But now to go back to the question, now at the time I was quite surprised. I don't really remember Chopper after training, like taking notes, or even Jordan training, sort of speaking about tactics, etc. So I was surprised. But I think Livers, I said it, we can always sort of knew by Livers. Livers was one of those that was always paid attention to the tactics, and you could see he was always thinking about it, and he was always into his diet, and his he was always one of those players that would give it 120% in everything in his preparation, etc. So I knew that Livers would be a good coach, to be fair. But no, I didn't know Chopper, but I think he's got all the badges and all that now, and obviously he's done a great job for Millwall, and hopefully he can do well again next year with Cardiff.
The biggest thing in Livers done was who he was going to kick next, I thought.
Yeah, he loved to tackle Livers, didn't he, to be fair? He was a good, to be fair. You look back and thinking like him and Tim could sort of go forward. Livers was like having a back five, to be honest. He was great for their team, the way we worked, to be honest.
Well, we had a man there last season who used to knock him about a bit in the middle, and he was only 19. Jason Malumbi. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, he's gone back, I think, isn't he?
He's gone back, yeah.
He was a nice player. I went to watch Millwall against Bristol City, I think it was, last year. I think Bristol City were the better team first half, but then the second half, Millwall were quality, to be fair. They should have ended up winning the game if they finished 1-1. But yeah, he looks a nice player, to be fair. Again, my father don't watch much football, but because of, as I said, the Irish 21s playing football the right way, he's watched a lot of underage football, and he said to me that them two players are very, very good players, to be honest.
They are. Well, before you go, Robbie, I've just got a quick question for you, really. Was it you that helped old Tim Cahill in his application to become a Republic of Ireland international?
I can't even do my own, mate. Never mind that. I think my mother and father still do mine.
It wasn't. That's how he ended up in Australia.
Yeah. We could have done with Tim, to be fair. It would have been nice for Ireland.
He would have done.
Roy Keane would have been a nice twosome, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd have made a big difference.
Me left back, Standard up top would have been a great team.
Yeah. If only his legs would have lasted longer, or his hip, as it was.
Also about Richie, man, lovely player.
The only problem with that international football, Robbie, you come across players like Cristiano Ronaldo, a bit more.
Who are you?
He's still in my pocket, mate. What you on about?
Yes,
I know. I'm going to stick up for you here, Robbie. I watched this.
He's still sore about the shirt he didn't get.
The final the other day, and one thing I will say is when he scored his goal in that final, Ronaldo, he wasn't on your side of the pitch, was he?
Thank you. No, it wasn't. That was the only time he wasn't on my side.
He went to the other side of the pitch to frighten the rest of the team.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. He'd had enough of me. I wish he'd had enough of me now. No, listen, he's a great player. To be fair, it's quite nice for me now to say you've tried to mark Ronaldo. And looking back now, it's nice. 20 years later, you still get asked the question about Man United and Ronaldo. So it's it's good. It wasn't good at the time, mind you, but it's good now.
There you go.
Face it, Robbie. That Man United side wasn't bad, was it? It wasn't only Ronaldo. There
was
a few.
Crazy. Yeah, when you look back.
I'll tell you what. Having watched it the other day, that first half, although they was obviously the better side, we was in it. We were still in it right up until sort of half time, weren't we?
Yeah, obviously we just sort of sat back. We did. I'm not make excuses. Like, listen, but we did miss, like, obviously with Dicchio and Muscat, bit of experience. You know what I mean? A bit more. Yeah. I'd played 200 games and saw Matt Lawrence and all that, but to have the older folk like Muzzy who play for Australia and in big games and Danny Dicchio playing in the Premier League would have just been that little bit extra. And obviously Wisey was injured as well, wasn't 100%. So I'm not saying we would have won, but it would have been nice to have a bit more experience on the pitch at times, to be honest.
Well, we played, I watched the semi-final as well, Rob, and we was a good side. I thought it was such a nervous day. I don't remember us being that good, to be quite honest, but sitting there watching it, we was a good side. And I think you make a real good point. I think Danny Dicchio would have frightened the hell out of that Man United back four because he was an handful. And they wasn't the strongest stand in the centre halves for a big sort of strapping centre forward against them. I think that would have been a good outlet for us on a day if it had been available.
Yeah, it would have been. And even if you were under pressure, we could have just kicked it up to him, do you know what I mean? Whatever you want to call it. And hoofed it even. And he would have held it up for us and relieved a little bit of pressure, to be fair.
Well, he would have won a hell of a lot of free kicks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's how we probably would have scored if we were going to score on the day. Would have been probably from set pieces, to be honest.
Well, it's been great to speak to you once again, Robbie, and I'm sure we'll have you back again. But next time, we'll ask George to stop scraping his paper all around the microphone. I had to mute him through that last question, but there you go.
Sorry, Rob.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's sorry, Robbie. You know what George is like. Goodness gracious. Anyhow, we'll have you back again before too long, and it's nice to know you still go down the den, and lots of people say they see you, including me. And the next time we're down there, we can talk about the suicide pit, and that'll be good.
Sorry, mate. Thanks very much for having me, mate, and all the best for the season. Hopefully I'll see you sometime next season, mate, and hopefully get fans back into the ground.
That'd be grand.
What line are you on tomorrow?
What line am I on tomorrow? I'm on District. I'm actually at, where am I? Upton Park, West Ham.
Well, with that definitely is good night, Robbie Ryan.
And on that note, see you later.
See you later.
Thank you.
Well, that was nice to have Robbie on there, and always fun. Anyhow, we're going to take a break there before we talk to our next guest.
Hey, I'm Clive from Millwall Fan TV. On Millwall Fan TV, I cover pre-match predictions, post-match analysis, and a bit of full-time reaction when we can go to the games. Also, quite a few X-Lounge chats on my my YouTube, actually, as we speak right now. I've got some Martin Wolford, Scott Barron, that just a couple to name a few. So do it for the love of Millwall. Absolutely love Millwall, and let's hope we can push on next year and make the playoffs. And if you could subscribe to Millwall Fan TV, that'd be absolutely amazing. And hopefully we can follow the journey together. Comedy Lions.
I'm Eamon, and I'm back with a No One Likes Us talking team of Pat, George, and Ted as we turn our attention to the fan with the backroom staff section. In the back room tonight, we welcome a man who has been extremely busy dealing with some of the outcomes of the pandemic. He has been a Millwall fan, man and boy, undoubtedly influenced by his father, who was a publican in the areas close to the Den. I first met him as a young probationer firefighter over 30 years ago. We never stopped bumping into each other at the Den ever since. He is one of Millwall's prolific sponsors, and this show too. He currently sponsors the corners at the Den in the name of his family funeral directors. It is Dean Wilson that we welcome here tonight.
Hello, Eamon. Thanks for having me on.
Dean, before we start talking Millwall, I've heard many accounts from the Millwall family of your dedication in dealing with those that have lost their lives due to this dreadful virus. How has it been for you and your team?
We can imagine, Eamon. First of all, I've got to say, I hope everyone's safe and well. And, we've looked after a lot of Millwall families, and it's been an honour to do so. It's been a really difficult time for families. But for us, as a funeral directors, we were working day and night. It's the busiest I've ever known it in 28 years. It was hard for everyone, but I've got a great team, and I can't praise them enough. We really were working day and night. And as I said, during that time, and we still are looking after a lot of Millwall families. And I suppose that is part of being the Millwall family. They come to us to look after their families.
Hello, Dean. It's Pat here. We recently had David Ford on the show, and he mentioned that you sponsored a picture of you both on a full page in a Wembley playoff final. How did that come about?
Well, I'm good friends with Fordy, actually. It's a bit of a long story, but I used to play semi-pro as a goalkeeper in my younger days.
That's right.
And when I finished playing, I took my coaching qualifications in goalkeeping, and I became a Millwall Academy goalkeeping coach. So you naturally get to know the other keepers at the club, and I suppose it's a bit of a goalkeepers union. And I got to know Fordy, and since then, him and his family have become our family friends. And when we got to Wembley, I had the chance to sponsor his kit that season, and I was also offered the chance to do a full-page advert in the programme, and it's one that I treasure. I've got it as one of my souvenirs, the full-page picture of Fordy, me, outside Wembley.
Hello, Dean, it's George, mate. What were your expectations ahead of last season, and were they exceeded?
I was hoping, with our budget and the club that we are, a mid-table finish, so I was really pleased to finish 8th. I went to some games last year with my son, who knows everything about Millwall and about the league, and he was telling me as other teams were making substitutions, they were bringing on £4 and £5 million players. So for us to finish 8th with our budget and being a club that I was really pleased.
Hello, Dean. It's Ted. Were you disappointed by our post-lockdown form, and what would you say contributed to our disappointing finish?
I suppose being selfish, I was disappointed at the games I thought we should have won, like most Millwall fans did. I don't know if it was attitude or the players not clicking as a team coming back after the break. I can't really say what the cause was, but definitely happy with 8th place and really, really excited about next season.
Rowett has indicated that we need 15 more goals than we had this season. We have signed Troy Parrott. Do you think him capable of making a dent in that target of 15 goals? And also, is there anything else we can do?
Well, I think it's a great bit of business by Gary. I know that Tottenham rate him very highly, and they certainly won't be looking to sell him, but to have him for the season would be fantastic for us. And I think 15 goals for him is very doable. And what I've heard, he's a bit of a Neil Harris character in the box. He's one of those players that give him the ball in the box and he causes chaos and scores from there. So, it'd be great to see him playing for the next season. And 15 goals, 15 to 20, I think he can do it, yeah. I think Matt Smith, he had a big impact for us. Massive guy, back post headers, and he bullies defences. I think if we could get another big forward like Matt Smith and someone that can play, 80, perhaps a full 90 minutes, someone, no disrespect to Matt, a bit younger, but big and can bully defences, then I think that would be great with Troy Parrott up there as well.
Were you pleased we got Woods back on loan through to the end of next season? And what do you see he brings to the Millwall team?
He's been a really real asset for us, and I'm really pleased that we kept him. I mean, he holds the midfield, does lots of running, and his passing is spot on. He's a Premiership player for me. He sees openings, he puts balls through, and he's hard working, and he's a Mill type player. Yeah, so really pleased that we kept him for the season. Yeah.
We got Woods and Parrott in. Do we need to reinforce elsewhere? Would you go back for Malumbi for a further season if he did not make Brighton's 25-man player squad?
He has the pace, he's got the skill and the aggression, and I know some of them at Brighton, and they've got real high hopes for him as well. But I'm really pleased if we can get him back this season. Full season loan. So I don't like loan deals where they can be called back at a week's notice because I think it just disrupts the whole squad. Yeah. But if we can get him on a full year, again, great for us, great for the club.
What players are you expecting improvement from next season?
Well, for me, the player at Mill that I think can show the most improvement will be Conor Mahoney. I mean, he's a real player in there somewhere for me. His crossing and pace, it just hurts defences. But I think he's a little bit light. He needs to work on his aggression and possibly needs to track back a bit more and help when we're under pressure. But going forward with the ball at his feet, he terrorises defences. So I think there's a bit of work to do on him there, but I think there is a really good player in there somewhere.
What about our under-23s? Do you see many more featuring this forthcoming term?
Yeah, the under-23s, we always do well. If you look back over the years, we always bring good players through. And I'm sure Gary's constantly watching them. I was really pleased to see Billy Mitchell come through last year. And I think there's one or two of Billy's mates that are about to make the breakthrough. I think Gary's the sort of manager that will give him a chance. He's done it at the other clubs that he's managed. I think if you're good enough, you will get the chance. And again, we're a club with not a massive budget, so we need to bring them through, yeah.
Before you go, Dean, Stan asked me this morning to ask you a question with regard to your fire service career. He was interested to know, because he watches all the reruns of London's Burning, what your nickname was.
Fire Brigade nickname? Well, my nickname, funny enough, it was quite polite. It was always just Dino. But as you can imagine, Eamon, over the 30 years in the fire brigade, I've been called a lot of things. Weren't always pleasant, but I didn't have some weird and wonderful surname. It was usually Dino. Yeah. But that was about it. So a bit boring, really.
or as I remember, the occasional expletive, even. Thanks, Dean. We look forward to seeing and hearing from you again soon. In particular, when Gary Staff reinvigorates our post-match fan reaction interviews. Many thanks for joining us once again and what you do for the show.
Lovely. Thanks, Eamon. Thanks for having me on, and all Mill fans, you and your families, keep safe. Thanks, Eamon.
Bye, Dean.
Cheers,
Bye,
Dean.
Dean.
Bye.
Oh, mate.
We'll take a break there before we talk to our next guest, a Lions fan who is proud to play for Millwall.
Bethany Warren here again. Thanks for listening to our show. Don't forget, Love Sport Radio is now mothballed pending change in current conditions. You can still listen though to music both online and on DAB. Podcasts are available on demand. Hopefully we'll be back on the air with them when normality returns to the marketplace.
Right, I'm Eamon and I'm back with the No One Likes Us Talking team over George, a Lampy, the Lampoon, Ted the Computer, Robinson and Pat Maslin. Our final guest this evening plays for Millwall and is a current player. a great fundraiser, and someone who is delighted to expend time on Millwall Community Trust activities, which led to being awarded the Professional Footballers Association Community Award as a member of the Lionesses. It is, of course, the woman who has retained her squad position for their forthcoming season. The one and only, we welcome Kelly Webster.
Thank you very much. How's everyone doing?
Yeah,
thank you, Kelly.
Yeah.
They're thinking about that. They really did. Kelly, the last time we spoke on interview, you were unsure about playing for the Lionesses this season. What was it like to be selected for the squad once again?
It was amazing to be retained. I think the only reason for me why obviously I was contemplating what to do is just the one sheer factor, and that is my age. Obviously, working and everything else, other commitments, it becomes hard. And as you get older, injuries take longer and that kind of thing. So that was all it was. But to tell me that I was retained and to know that I'm going to play back in the shirt is just amazing. Absolutely amazing for me.
Yeah, fantastic job. Well done, mate.
Yeah, I said the same, Kelly, to Gary Rowett as I was coming back of lockdown. It's my age that's stopping me.
I think once you stop though, that's it. So I think you've just got to keep pushing.
You're 100% right, Kelly. Keep going as long as you can. As long as you can.
Yeah, no, I will do.
Listen, we know you are a MCT community ambassador, but tell us about how the PFA Community Award came about.
Well, that was a bigger shock to me, I think, to anyone. And obviously, I've done a few bits for the community. Whenever Sean phones me up, I'm happy to do anything. If I've got time that I can fit things in, I will fit it in, because I really do love doing the community work, meeting the kids and just seeing their faces, you know, like so happy. Like when I went to Dockland Settlement, the girls there, they just enjoyed so much the session and everything that was going on. For me, it was just really like something that I want to do. So about a couple of weeks ago, Sean phoned me and he said, like, are you busy? I said, no, what's up? And he said, oh, by the way, I put you in for a PFA Community Champion Award. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. Like, I was like quite shocked and sort of took back. So he goes, I got notice from the FA that you won. And I was like, what? I was completely like, I couldn't believe it. And I knew that Aidan had obviously won the men's one. And I was just like completely shocked. Because for me, I haven't done it for that. I've done it because of the love for the community and making the community better and getting more children and people involved in football or whatever it is they want to do to make them happy.
Well, I can tell you now, Kelly, it didn't shock any of us, because I can't think of anyone more deserving than for an award like that.
Thank you.
Well deserved. And, you know, as you say, you don't do things like that for awards, but it is nice to see one come along, and I'm so pleased that you got it.
Yeah, it was just total shock. But yeah, I mean, as you say, you don't do it for that. And I think the whole shock thing as well was that I didn't even know that I'd been put in for it, and then to find out that I'd been put in for it, and in the next sort of breath I'd won it, was just like, what?
Well, when we was up in Blackpool drinking about 4 o'clock in the morning, I'd never thought you'd get an award like that. I've got to tell you.
Thanks. Yeah, we won't go there.
When was that?
I think it was when what was it? I can't remember what year, but it was when Ricky Hatton was fighting at that time of the morning, and we was up there. I think we was playing Carlisle, weren't we?
We was, yeah. Stayed in Blackpool, yeah. But no, whoever was listening to that from the Lionesses, that's not really true. She was in bed by 9.
You know.
Allegedly.
Hello, you've got to have some time off, haven't you?
You have.
Hello, Kelly, it's Pat here.
Hello, Pat, you all right?
I'm fine. What are you looking forward to with regard to the friendlies ahead of the new season?
I think when I see the list of the friendlies, I was like, what? This is crazy. Like, they got some brilliant teams in there, and I think it is really going to test the team and see like how far we've sort of come in those friendlies. I mean, obviously you've got Aylesford, you've got Billericay Town, and then you've got a London Bees 11, which is just like, it's insane. And Dulwich Hamlet. It's like, I mean, even if you're not really into women's football or watching it that much, I'm sure you've probably, if if you're into men's games, then you've probably heard about those teams. Do you know? So it was pretty mad to see them. So really looking forward to testing ourselves and seeing how far we've come from last season and where we sort of stand, obviously, after lockdown and everything else.
Kelly, it's George here.
Hello, George. You all right?
Hello, mate. Yeah, not mad. Not much got by you last season. Have you any personal targets for the season ahead?
I'd say trying to stay fit and not injured and all the rest of it, because as we spoke, as your age gets on, it's harder to recover from an injury. And I had quite a bad injury beginning of last season, and it took a long time to heal. So I just want to try and keep myself fit, keep as many goals out as possible, and just hopefully push us to that promotion. Whether that's, like saving goals or just being around the squad and helping, whatever it is. I just want to be like part of it and help us get back to where we should be in my eyes.
Definitely. Kelly, I must mention your efforts for the Mizzen Foundation. What a job you're doing there. Doing the 21 bridges for Jimmy back in late May. I must admit, on a show just gone by, I did say that next year I will try and help.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the 21. I won't be able to make that, but maybe the last bridge for the pub. But you're doing a fantastic effort, though. We advertise it on the show here and give it a plug, and I'm sure we'll be doing it next year. And I'm sure we'll get to talk some of our younger No One Likes Us talking members to have a crack at it.
Well, the woman who was sitting next to you, Ted, I think her name's Bethany, said she would.
She did. Yeah, she did. So it's a fantastic thing that you've been doing there, Kelly.
Thank you. I say it was just at the time everything was going on, like with COVID, and as I said, it literally they were. I knew that day on that bank holiday that they were meant to have it that day, and it was a couple of weeks beforehand, and I was just like, everyone at the time was fundraising for the NHS, and I get that they need the support, but these smaller charities, in my eyes, and obviously in our community, needed the help more. And I just thought, I spoke to my partner and said, look, I think I'm going to go for it. I spoke to Barry and Margaret, and they gave me their blessing. So we sort of started up the fundraising. My partner was very good with that, helped out with all of that, with the T-shirts, everything around that. She was wonderful. And like George sorted out route cards for me and everything. And it was just a really good day, hard, tiresome day. And I would say to anyone who want to do it, like do as much as you can, because you will really enjoy the day, because they have the 21 bridges that start at Richmond, 14 from Putney, which is about 13 miles, and then the South Bank is the last start 7 bridges. And it sort of goes on all day, and then people meet up at the end. So hopefully, as we said, next year everyone can do it and enjoy the day and raise a lot of money for them, because they are an amazing charity and an amazing family.
Do amazing work, don't they?
Oh, they do. And I'd like to thank you all, obviously, for plugging on the show and all the advertising and helping repost and everything like that. Anyone that did, it was such a massive help to have people reposting things and tweeting and everything. It was just great support, and I thank everyone for their support through that time.
Absolutely. Going back to the Lionesses, Kelly, do you know what restrictions will be put in place on match days yet?
I've only just recently heard, but we sort of knew that it was probably coming. Like any men's game at the moment, it is just literally behind closed doors, and it's only essential staff, and that's it. I mean, obviously, if a player's under 18, they're allowed one guardian, but that is literally, there's no spectators at the moment until restrictions start being lifted, which I think we all hope is going to be soon.
Oh. It's going to be hard, isn't it, without the support there? But do your management and the team think there's a good season coming?
I think everyone thinks we're going to have a good season, because we've stayed together, and I think that's amazing that all of us that was left at the end are all still there. It shows the love and the support that we have for each other to still be there and be retained by the new management of Katie Whitmore and Nick Farrell. It was an amazing thing for all of us to feel wanted to stay, and they obviously think that we're good enough to push the club forward. And hopefully we get some new people in that's going to build that up as well. So, yeah, it's good. I'd say it's going to be a good season.
You was in the wrong league, Kelly, really, weren't you, last year, in my
Oh,
opinion?
massively. And I said, obviously, getting expunged and we're not going up. For me, I think where we sort of are at the moment, in my eyes, and this is obviously nothing to do with the club or anything, this is my personal opinion, should be nearing on tier 4 and going from there. But I think it was the only league, and we thank obviously the Eastern Regional League for letting us into that. It was the only league and tier that we could sort of fit into at that time. So we do thank them for getting us in there.
Yeah.
It could have been worse.
Must be a certain amount of frustration, though, Kelly, because you obviously was sort of flying in that division, and I don't know how to explain it. It's finished up being a nothing season in the sense of.
Yeah, I think that's why I wanted to play another season as well. Like, I think it would have been easier to retire, I suppose, if we'd won the league and everything had been done and dusted, but it hasn't, and it's like it never sort of happened. And I feel sorry for some of the teams that are in that league. Hopefully they've recruited well this season, and that's going to help them. But some of the games, like, you saw the faces at the end of the game, and I felt so bad, and I shouldn't be feeling like that after a game. It should be a competitive game that everyone enjoys. Win, lose or draw, you feel like you've done your best,
Yeah,
so
hopefully next year when you get promoted, you can doubly celebrate. How's that?
Oh, that sounds good.
2 years in one.
Yeah,
no staying up to 4 o'clock, though. Listen, I suspect. I suspect, like many, you will miss Aidan O'Brien, but more so in relation to his community trust work. I mean, we have had so much feedback surrounding Aidan, but how will you remember him?
I will massively miss Aidan. He's done so much for Harvey Brown and all the rest of it, as you've seen. He's always been there, but it's not just that. He's a perfect role model of how a child should grow up, because he was at a stage where he obviously had nothing. I remember walking to the ground with him one day, and he was getting the training. This was quite a few years ago. And I said to him, "Do you not drive?" And he said, "No, I'm going to get my house first. That's the first thing I want to get. And once I've got that, then I'll sort out getting a car and everything else." And I thought, he's so level-headed for his age at that time. But he's given so much back to the community. Any time he's got off or whatever else, if you ask him, if you ask Dean Brown, he will literally say to you, he only had to ring him, and when Harvey had the operation, he was there. And it was just I know he gave his all on the pitch as well, as much as whatever went on. But he gave everything he could for the club, and he gave back so much. And I think we are going to miss him as a club massively.
Sorry, George, I was just saying, I'm so pleased that he's got a move to Sunderland. A big club.
I was so happy to see that it was a club that will love him, and he will carry on doing that community work there, and I know he will, because that's the kind of person he is. And I think the fans are just going to fall in love with him, and I think they're a very lucky club to have him.
And when he scores 2 hat-tricks against Charlton next year, we love him even more.
Yeah,
absolutely. Brilliant, wasn't it? Well, Kelly, many thanks for coming onto the show and sharing your thoughts with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for inviting me on.
In fact, we love it when you do come on. But before you go, I understand there is something being put in place to celebrate the founding of the Lionesses. As you know, Pat Maslin was a founding member, and she has been very interested in the Millwall murals work in the Zampa Road railway archway. In fact, she went down there and interviewed people who were doing it and done a bit for the show. And it's also been intimated that she would like to see the bus shelters having some art in relation to the club as well, Kelly. Anyhow, I believe you have some information about something that's being put in place commemorating the founding of the Lionesses.
Yeah, I do a little bit. Pat, you shouldn't go shy or anything like that, because, listen, founding a team like that, it's where it all started, and you should be so proud, because the journey that club's been on, and it's still such a historic name in football, and to play for them, for me, is just unreal. But I basically got asked to come down to the Millwall Caf a little while ago, and he's obviously got all the pictures of the men up and everything else, and he asked me to come down and have a little chat with him. So I said, oh, okay, yeah, I've got some time, I'll pop down. He said what he wanted to do was one of the walls in the Caf is to have Millwall Lionesses like stuff up there and everything else. So I went away and I was thinking about things, and I've got a friend who's on the committee at Cray Valley, and when we played there, I don't know whether Pat knows, but there's a picture of the founding team in Cray Valley's clubhouse. So I spoke to a friend of mine who's there on the committee, and I said, I really want to try and get a copy of that picture, if possible, of the founding team for it to go up in the CAF. So as it stands at the moment, I'm pretty close to getting it, and then we're going to sort out a team picture for ours for this season and a signed shirt or something to go up on that wall. And I just think it put it all together from starting from the beginning to now. So,
wow.
That's fantastic, Kelly. I'm going to get Pat to cut. Pat, can you hold up a minute? I know you like jumping in. Pat, we'll have to get you down to the unveiling of all of this. And perhaps you can,
definitely.
And perhaps you can do a bit of recording when that happens as well, eh?
Yeah, can I just say, I've got the original picture.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd never seen the picture until we obviously had the last game of the season at Cray Valley, and I said, I was like, dumbfounded. I was like, oh, what a picture, and all the rest of it. And I think said to my friend, like, can you get me a copy? He said, oh, I could do better. I think I might have another copy of something else as well. So I'm just waiting for him to come back to me. But he's off on. I can
always send you my one. I've got the original from the Mercury newspaper.
That'd be really good. I'm just trying to get it so it's big enough to go in there, so it's seen properly as well. Do you know?
In fact, no. Rest. Kelly, is a little bit of information here. If you speak to Pat nicely, Pat's got the ability to enlarge photographs so that they're the size of the archways.
I'm a photographer.
Oh, there you go. See, there you go. Well, we're exchange numbers and sort out the size and what one you want and everything else. Yeah, but I just thought it was a wonderful idea where he said he wanted to have a Lioness's wall. I just wanted straight away come away and I said to my partner, I really want it from the founding team to now. I said I know there's a lot of history in between, but that's like the space that he'd given. I just sort of thought that was what it should be.
Kelly, can I just say thank you for not saying that you were going to have a mural of somewhere, because I thought that's what you was leading to. So the picture's fine with me. I'll use that after all. So.
I was actually
graffiti on it.
Scruffy, I reckon.
You worried for a minute there.
Would have been like an horror movie, wouldn't it?
Oh dear! Right, hold up, George, hold up. Fantastic, Kelly. All the best to you and the team for next season. And you'll have to come back.
Can I just say one more thing? Because obviously, I'm obviously the face of like Mill Lionesses. It's probably going to come out a little bit wrong, but I just want to say I wouldn't be able to do everything that I do in the community, everything else that I do at the Lionesses and all of that without my partner. We were supposed to get married in June at Millwall. Obviously, with COVID going on, we ended up not getting married. And I just got to say, if I didn't have her support and everything else through the 21 bridges, through everything, obviously I'm at training late at night and the community work I do, I just want to thank her so much. So, I mean, she obviously is not going to know this until she hears this. So, you know what I mean?
You're in trouble tonight when you get back home then, Kelly.
Yeah. There you go.
Can I just say, Kelly, if you need a photographer, you've got one free of charge.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I said we just got to wait for the restrictions to be lifted because I've got a bit of a big family, so 30 is not really enough at the moment.
No. Your edge cut off, Kelly.
Sorry.
If you're all right, if you want your edge cut off with Pat, we'd have fun.
Cheers.
Yeah. And Ted and George said you don't need to invite them after all. Anyhow. That was great. And you'll have to come back and tell us how things are progressing during the season. We look forward to that. And you take care. Look
All
after
right,
yourself.
thank you. Yeah, everyone take care and stay safe, and hopefully speak to you all soon.
Yeah,
Look
keep
after
it
Cheers,
safe on the
Kelly.
streets out there.
All right,
Ta-ra.
take care. See you
Ta-ra.
later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, you sprung that one. Hi, Patricia Maslin here. The Millwall Community Trust needs volunteer help. Whether you're an organisation with bodies able to assist or an individual, the Trust needs you during the current conditions to support the vulnerable and needy. Current projects include providing 200 children each day with a hot and healthy meal as part of free sports and education camps over the summer, and providing assistance to those that need continuing support at this time. If you can help make a difference or need help, please contact Sean Daly, the Trust's Chief Executive Officer, by phone on 07 958 027060. Once again, that's 07 958 027060. Or contact by email sdaly, I'll spell that, SDALY, at millwallcommunity, all one word, .org.uk. I'll repeat that, sdaly, SDALY, at millwallcommunity, all one word, .org.uk. If you can, or you know someone or any organisation who might be able to help, please let the Community Trust know. Thank you.
Well, I'm Eamon. I'm back again with the No One Likes Us talking team of George, Ted and Pat, the shy one. Well, yes, you can go like that. You were tonight. Anyway, big news today. Information surrounding season tickets and how many people can go to the ground. It came out on a Millwall Supporters Club 2-page document, and it's not been heralded as a success. I'm going to hand over to Jules Lampy, who was not all that long ago one of the officials, in fact, on the Millwall Supporters Club. George, you've had quite some, not complaints, but certainly people asking what's going on.
Yeah, Eamon, because I've got a phone that was once the MSC phone during the lockdown, many people inquiring whether they could buy season tickets, frustrated that the site was down, the Millwall website, and they couldn't contact anybody at the club. For obvious reasons, the place was, the staff have been furloughed. But great frustration, and today, of course, now we know how Millwall intend to let people into the stadium, or how it may unfold. A lot of, as you said, there are quite a few complaints about how that's going to unfold. But in fairness, it may be a difficult situation for Millwall Football Club to manage at the best of times. And I don't know what the other guys think about that.
Ted?
Well, I mean, the sort of strange thing for me, in a sense, is that when the lockdown occurred, which was obviously in last season, and the early bird prices were just out, and people did have the opportunity to buy them, but there was so much uncertainty around what was going on. As I believe they said that they would extend the early bird for however it is. But I know since the football started up again behind closed doors, and then they finished the season, numerous people have come to me and said about, I've been trying to get me season ticket, but there's nobody there. I tried online and I can't get through there. And, and I just find it a bit strange that at the end of last season, knowing that they've already said how the season's going to roll on, which is going to be September, time that it comes back, and that there's nobody about to start allowing people to buy season tickets again. And so to make this announcement that is how they're going to do it with season ticket holders and whatever, when there's people out there now, Millwall Football Club, I can tell you now, there are people out there now that want to buy season tickets but can't, because I understand, there's furloughed people and it's locked, but surely you can get the office open for these people that are now in a situation or in a position where they want to buy their season tickets.
Good point, Ted. Pat?
I think they're both way off the mark. I'm sorry, guys, but the point is, Millwall closed down. They're changing their ticket suppliers as well, so the website went down.
Yeah.
There's no one at the club they're all furloughed, so there's no one to do the website. People bought their season tickets early, knowing about the shutdown, the lockdown, knowing the club needed money. And I believe that's the reason that most people there, 2,600, bought them early, because they know the club would need money. Now, I'm not saying there's not a lot still wanting to buy, but in a way, Millwall are rewarding those people who bought early, saying, thank you very much, you'll come in, you'll see every game. I mean, Millwall are going to lose whatever they do. There's always going to be complaints. So they've done it this way, that lot of complaining. Whatever they did, there'll be someone complaining. I think it's a very good way Millwall have sorted that out. It's going to be awkward when they open it up for the next 900. I know that could probably be done a bit better. But I think you're both wrong. I think Millwall have done the best they can, and well done to them.
But Pat, it's not a point about whether it's wrong or right. There was people that bought season tickets, you're right. But what I'm saying is, you talk about furlough. Hold on, I was furloughed. I was furloughed for a long time. I've been back to work for over a month. And the fact is, you can come back off a furlough within 48 hours. Now, Millwall are now in the middle of their, football's finished. I'll get that. But surely that somebody at the end of this season should have said, right, let's open up. People are going to want to buy season tickets now. When are they going to do that? I don't know. But they're stopping people.
I was speaking to the guy who was organising this.
The club now.
I was speaking to the guy who was looking at the stadium, the size of the concourses, how many toilet facilities they got, what numbers they could get in. And that was only a week ago. So how they can open it up and get that many more in straight away without knowing what they're actually doing is beyond me. They've done it the right way. They put a block on that. When we know what we're doing, when we know how many we can get in,
I'll give you a solution, Pat. I'll give you a solution. The people that have already got their season tickets, the ones you're talking about, they're a given. They're in. Anyone that come after the time that they've opened up again, if it gets to another 5,000 that come in and there's only 2,500, they'll have to go into a ballot. Exactly the same as like the Premier League clubs are doing with the 50,000 season ticket holders that they've got. They can't have that amount, so they do a ballot. Millwall could have done that, and at the same time, they would have been getting money into the club that they keep telling everyone they're not getting because
there was no one there to do it, and there's been no one there to do it. And also, they're saying thank you to those guys who gave them money before lockdown.
Okay. More questions. There's still more questions and answers, Ted, and all your points are valid.
Well, we obviously don't agree with Pat, do we?
No. But I
don't care.
She said, no one likes us. We don't care. All right.
Listen, I'm still reeling at the fact that Pat might be up on the wall wearing a pair of shorts when I'm trying to eat a bacon sandwich.
Behave.
Oh, that would be a nightmare.
Your chips and there'll be me.
We'll end up with about a 90-minute show the way we're going. Anyhow. People still continue to lose their lives to this dreadful virus, and many remain hospitalised too. Our thoughts go out to their families, friends, and those that take care of them.
It will be Gary, Stan and Jeff who will be with you next Friday when James Kelly will be back as host. Hopefully they will be a bit better behaved for James. It's good night from me.
The No One Likes Us team has a new interview special with former Millwall member and former chairman of both the Lions and the Lionesses. There's not many people that can say that. A panel member of the show also, Jeff Burnage, was released on our Facebook, Twitter, social media sites, and also is available on our Millwall No One Likes Us talking site on Spreaker.com, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Episode 2, featuring the final 6 players that Jeff highlights from Millwall's rich history, will be available next Tuesday. Look after yourself, everybody. Stay safe.
We try to, Georgie. Player sponsorship for the Lionesses is available for the forthcoming season. Why not give them some added support? And you can find the details on their website. Just put Millwall Lionesses into your browser and you will find them easily enough. If you have any club queries, don't forget Shona Groves is Millwall Supporter Liaison Officer. You can contact Shona by emailing slo@millwallplc.com or on Twitter @millwallslo. And those people that are got queries about their season ticket, maybe you should get in touch with Shona. But for now, it's good night for me.
Lastly, let's not forget to still keep it safe on the streets out there, which means social distancing and a face mask where necessary. Well, that's it from me. Thanks, Patricia, George and Ted. Until the next time, good night.